A big low is on the way this weekend and it will impact both New Zealand and Australia. Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks very much for joining us. So we are tracking this large area of low pressure. It's likely to get bigger over the next day or two, and it will drive in strong to gale force, colder southeasterlies for Sydney, at least in the coastal areas, and then that will arrive into New Zealand as a milder north to northeasterly wind on Sunday. Equally, some gale force winds are possible in the east. We'll cover that in a moment, but to begin with, rain is really the main feature. So this low is pulling down moisture-rich air from the subtropics. That's why we're going to see some heavy rain coming into the New Zealand area, and that's where we start. This is the two-day rainfall from 7 a.m. on Saturday, so it covers all of Saturday, all of Sunday, and to the early hours of Monday morning. The heaviest rain is along here, Bay of Plenty, East Cape. Here's some good news. Hawke's Bay, southern central parts of Hawke's Bay, likely to get actual proper rain. You can see this rain map on our website at weatherwatch.co.nz. You can zoom in. If you can't read the key, just zoom in on the page and you can see it a bit clearer. Otherwise, just go to the Weatherwatch website, app, or ruralweather.co.nz and get your hyper-local rainfall updates. It's updated every 1 hour, and it's the most accurate in New Zealand. Please take a look at it. It will help make sense of what you're seeing here. But we are seeing rainfall totals over 100 millimetres in some spots up here in the northeast. Down here around Hastings, potential rainfall total of 70 millimetres this weekend. Even if it's a little bit less than that, that's still a decent amount of rain. And there is a chance it could even go higher than that, but that's the current thinking. And then we get some heavy rain down here around Kaikoura. The good news is, for those places around Ashburton that were flooded a few weeks ago, your rainfall totals in the yellow, just 5 to 10 millimetres over the next 2 days. Right, here is the setup for Saturday. That low stretching out a bit, but the squash zone between the centre and the high means that Sydney, at least coastal areas, have got very strong winds. Over in New Zealand, it's a mild wind coming down out of the subtropics. It'll be a northerly quarter wind, so it might be northwest in some places, northeasterly in others. And then the rain clouds, they move down, the few heavy falls coming into Bay of Plenty during the afternoon. We talked about the wind. Let's start off with Australia. This is the area here, brushing up against the coastline around Sydney with gusts to 120 kilometres an hour there. Once you go inland, those winds disappear pretty fast. It'll still be a bit blustery, but not problematic. And then we zip over to New Zealand on Sunday, and then you've got the strong winds as well. Also in eastern coastal areas where gusts could be hovering around 100 kilometres an hour in some very exposed coastal areas. For the most part, wind is not the main feature. On Sunday, the rain will continue, so the low moves in. This is the heavy stuff here. Now that turns around and pushes in. Remember the Canterbury floods a few weeks ago. Similar setup in the sense that it's coming out of the subtropics and then being squeezed into an area where the rain falls. The difference is this is not as wet and it's not being squeezed into one spot like Canterbury. It's being fanned out right across this whole eastern side. So that means the rainfall totals aren't going to be extreme for the most part. There might be a localised area, but for the most part, it's being spread out across the country and dry on the west coast, dry in Southland, dry in Otago, and mostly dry in South Canterbury as well. Next week, it's windiest and wettest in this area here. Coastal Marlborough down to Kaikoura, maybe even into North Canterbury. Pretty windy and wet, but there's a very fine line between that weather and completely dry and mostly calm further south, and also fairly dry now around Hawke's Bay and moving up towards Bay of Plenty after that rain. As we go through into next week, Tuesday sees a bit of a windy day, and also the sou'westers are coming back. Very, very, very normal for this time of the year. A new low and stormy system moving in past Perth, but short-lived with that high coming in next to it. And then as we get to the middle of next week, that low fans out as it moves in towards Adelaide with mild northerlies for Melbourne and Hobart as well. But we're on the other side in New Zealand, other side of that high, anticyclonic winds. That's why the warm northerlies are over there. We've got the colder southerlies or southwesterlies, and that means it'll be a little bit cooler, more normal next week as for this time of the year. Because right now, it is very warm in New Zealand. It's much, much warmer than average. At least in the North Island, before I get the complaints, the South Island's gone the other way. It's much colder now for you, but it will warm up again as we go into Saturday and those northerlies start to come back in. And by the way, when I say warm up, warm up for this time of the year. The shortest day of the year is coming up on Monday. That's all from me. I will see you again on Monday itself. Have a great weekend.